Live.
We live. We live. We live. We live. What's up? What's up? What's up? Jamar, what's good? As to what's good. Hopefully y'all still vibing with us. If y'all have popped in, say what's up. We in this thing now. You know, we three deep. We a different three, but we three deep still. We'll get into it a little bit. Meanwhile, you know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all pull up, say what's up, jump in the room, see what's going on. If y'all are here not necessarily from TikTok today, but if y'all found out about the show and wanted to tap in because Consciously was talking about it earlier, make sure y'all let us know all of those things in the comments. We definitely want to hear from everybody up in here. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Two, you know how it goes. I need you to like it. I need you to subscribe to it if you haven't already done it. But I also really need you to share this thing because we about to have some good conversation tonight, right? You see we got a guest. We're not gonna do the introductions early. They're just gonna be a mystery guest for right now. So if you don't know and if you haven't seen the pub already, you know,
Right.
we're gonna get you introduced to who else is in the mix. But it's me and the plug here doing our thing. But we want to make sure y'all let everybody know what's up. We on the late night tip. We know East Coast, 10:30, middle of the map where I'm from, Central Standard Time. Y'all rocking with 9:30, 8:30 in the mountain, 7:30 out here in Cali on the West Coast, rather. So we got a little bit of everybody up in here. What's up, Tashi? What's up? Get your fixed tea. What's popping with y'all? Definitely happy to have y'all in the room real quick. Represented from Canada. What's up, Terry? What's good? What's going
Canada,
on?
Terry Brannigan. What's good
Oh,
with
Canada in the building. They show what's good.
you? Aisha in the building. That's what's up.
Definitely, 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 definitely. Love us
Yeah.
having Canada love in here.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna give it a minute to let y'all come on in, get started.
Abigail, what's
Abigail,
popping?
what's good with you? We are having some issues on going live on Facebook.
That's wild. What's up, Paul?
Yeah,
South
man.
Carolina? Take your shirt off, twist around your. I'm sorry, I had to do it. I know it was too fast, but I had to, it just kept coming.
We got
Big
Big
boy, what's
Boy
popping?
Donald in the house. Was cracking. Hey, it's an interesting show today too, man. We getting into some real deep, very important, pointed conversations. You know what I mean about violence, a particular type of violence that needs to be discussed. That's not discussed enough. Um, and we got insight on that today. So we're gonna get a lot of that. And then on the flip side of that, we got a funny political chop. Well, it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess it's celebratory, right? Because I mean, the chop up does not fuck with Donald Trump. So we will be making fun of some of the circumstances surrounding the Trump administration and everything that's going on with that. So y'all just stay tuned. I'm about to get the link to YouTube share on the Facebook because the Facebook Live is fucking up. Stephanie from Cali. Hey, we are hey, that Cali fan. We out
Hey,
here.
be specific. Be Pacific. Get it? I made a joke about the ocean. Be Pacific. What
Yeah.
part of Cali you represent? What part of Cali? I made myself laugh. What part of Cali you represent, Stephanie? Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. Let us
I
know.
see.
Let us know. Let us know.
Definitely.
But
Anybody else in
yeah,
here? You already know we start off the show repping where y'all from. Definitely want to show y'all some love. We've been getting love from doggone near all 50 states. I don't think we've seen Alaska yet. I don't think we've seen Hawaii yet, but we've seen a whole lot of other places. So if you repping in here, go ahead and tell us where you from. What's good? Jump in them comments real quick. Get them warm. All we doing right now is getting it shared over to the Facebook because we're having some issues with that. But in a second, we're gonna jump in and really get the ball rolling and go ahead and cut to the chase. So y'all go ahead, jump in these comments, see what's up. The yay area near San Francisco. I
VA in the building,
I
Bama in the building,
I
Oklahoma City in the building. Shout out to
yeah.
y'all. Bama in the national championship, about to get it
They should
cracking.
already know talking about some Kansas City. What part of the town you in? They should tell us a little bit more about that.
Emma said hot Atlanta. You know what I mean? She coming from hot Atlanta. We got
Absolutely.
Nashville. Again, we got Bama in the
Another
building. Shout out to
Alabama
all y'all,
representative.
man.
I see y'all.
Shout out to all y'all. Well, look,
Y'all come
uh,
in, get cozy. All we doing is killing a little bit of time until we get this feed shared to the Facebook, and then we off to the races. They
yeah.
should tell me what part of the town you from. Let me see if we really get down like that.
where
What's up?
you where you at, Mercy? Where you from? You on the East Coast? Oh.
All right. SoCal, Nico representing shoot, the top of LA, the tippity top of that thing, Thousand Oaks, inner city, east side of Truth. That tell us more though. Wait, give me a number. Give me a number, right? Because you're saying all the right things. East side of Truth is that's right. You're getting warmer. Let me get some numbers though. Murfreesboro. I've been to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've been out there. It's cool. It's smooth. It's smooth. They see in the 30s. Damo, she in the 30s. That's your name.
30, yeah. Hey, we over there. We over there. 31st in Murfreesboro. You
That's Damo neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I went to school over there though. I went to Lincoln, so that ain't even the 20s. That's the 20s. That ain't even the 30s. But I'm a 6
I went to Century. Right off. You know what I'm saying? We right off 31st Street. You feel me?
I'm a 6 block representative. Hello, South Side.
But I'm gonna go ahead and got to share so we can go ahead and get the show started. Y'all know how we do. We always get it started the right way. You feel me? We always get it started with the right way. So let's kick it off official with the intro. Let's get it.
Me, my guys, we really live. Lord, forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside. And that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride. Let off Henny when I drive. In the city, we gon' slide. Bet I be there pronto.
Pronto, we in the building. This is the Chop Up. We here on another Monday, episode 60. And we got another big chop for y'all, man. This is our second official big chop. And it's a big one. It's a big one. Now, to go ahead and get it started, I'm gonna let Toya go ahead and introduce her right. You know what I mean? Because I know we got to treat our guests the correct way on the Chop Up. So Toya, let them know who will be taking part in the big chop today.
Okay, wait a second. Before we even jump into the big chop, and I hate to do this. I hate to do it. 2 things. If you're just joining us, the link on Facebook is messed up. Jump on the YouTube. The Chop Up Show on the YouTube. Easy peasy, and you'll be connected. Where's Lee? Pretty Jackson asked the question. Where's Lee? Where's Ja? Right, yo, everybody wants to know. Consciously is weary. That boy been working, been grinding, been doing a whole lot of things. So he is, we assume, asleep. We can't get a hold of Lee right now. My man is resting.
This ain't the first time this happened, right? So like usually if it's show night, you know what I mean, and George ain't hit the link and he ain't answering the phone, he sleep. We gonna get an early morning phone call. My bad,
y'all. My bad, man.
And Noel, yes, Chop, for whatever reason, Facebook ain't letting us go live, but glad that you was able to join us on the YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure y'all subscribe to the Chop Up Show and at Consciously. We are broadcasting on both for those platforms.
Yeah. Also, stay tuned. I got some videos coming to TikTok. If y'all TikTokers, Toya G.
Shit.
Toya G HD. TOYUHGEEHD. Meet me over there real quick. I got something coming for y'all. Y'all know my lane is leadership. You know what I'm saying? And I think more often and more necessary, not even more often than not, but more necessary than ever before, we're at a point where we need to really think about and evaluate leadership and what that looks like in our real lives and our relationships and our professional endeavors and the dreams and the goals that we have in our workplaces and our classrooms and our families and our relationship. Are you being a leader in your relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, but listen, questions that need answers. I'm gonna go ahead and start plugging and see. Y'all meet me over there. Let's talk a little bit about what it means to be leadership. This ain't gonna be no stale conversation. We about to break it down. Toya G HD, and that's on TikTok. And on the gram, just higher definition LEC. Just like y'all TVs, y'all phones. Higher definition.
Shit. I want y'all to see this. Look at
who's calling. Let's talk to him. Put him on. Speaker.
Hello. Yeah, bro. What's up, man? What's good with you?
I'm about to go to my other spot right now. Fell asleep.
Bro, we went ahead and said, nah, we ain't even doing it, man. You wasn't here, so we was like, fuck it. We just gonna cancel.
All right.
Nah, I'm just playing. Nigga, get in front of the camera. Nigga, get.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, nah. I mean, listen, you are, if you feeling it, bro, because we already because we started. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody listening to you now.
Mm-hmm. You want hey George.
If you can join us, bro, feel free. If you need to go ahead and recoup and recover, that's definitely understandable too. What you trying to do?
Shit, I'm puffing like I'm saying shit. Huh? Niggas about to
take that man off speakerphone. Take my man off speakerphone.
What you say, bro?
Malik was popping.
Right, yeah. Go ahead. I'll let you in the morning, bro.
He done for it.
All right. He wasn't even talking in complete sentences.
Period.
Yeah. So yeah. So
Never-
shout out to my mans, bro. Like we're gonna let my nigga get some rest.
Absolutely. All right. Back on script. All right. Y'all, it's the Big Chop. What's going down? Y'all know it's your girl Toya G. And for this Big Chop, I want to introduce to some and present to others Mercy Baez. Now, before I turn it over to Mercy and let her really get into a lot of the other supplemental information about herself, I want to cover the basics. First and foremost, Mercy is a mom of a 7-year-old daughter. She is a survivor, advocate, and activist in regards to domestic violence and sexual abuse. She specifically uses her artistry to express herself and has been doing so in a multiplicity of ways since 2015, specifically with Rebirth of Mercy, Rebirth of a Woman, LLC, which she's going to talk about a little bit more. That does various events, has various different platforms, that participates in various different types of activisms, not just in regards to domestic violence, but I was very excited to hear about the work that she's doing, just kind of making sure she's engaged with just the power for the people, just moving our missions forward, but making sure we don't forget about how silent domestic violence survivors have had to be in these conversations. Representing the Bronx, right? I had to make sure I got my barrel correct, right? Representing New York, the Bronx, you know, all of those things. And it's just an amazing voice that we wanted to have on here to really shed light on a conversation that we haven't been having. So what's up, Mercy? What's good? How you doing tonight?
Blessings. It's such an honor. Thank you guys so much. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, we definitely want to thank you for coming. The circumstances might not be ideal in terms of us all being here, but you are filling in, or your fill-in is very welcome. You know what I'm saying? It's refreshing. We like to have different voices and mindsets and understandings applied. So we thank you for being here. And I'm very interested in hearing this conversation.
Definitely, Daisha. I mean, I'm sorry, not Daisha. I looked down at the chat, but more so, Mercy. Go ahead and jump into, put some icing on the cake that I just kind of baked for everybody. Tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and how people should understand Rebirth of a Woman.
Yeah, so I started with freestyle dancing when I was 7 years old, and I mounted up with performing, and I went into spoken word, acting, and creative directing for my own projects and for other people's projects. And so, again, I started at 7 and I'm now 25 years old. And I started to take it very seriously in 2015 when an unfortunate event happened. That was my first domestic violence case. With that, I was able to fuel all of my emotions and all of my rage, all of my insecurities, all of my pain into making the rebirth of a woman. As I started to perform worldwide and really started to tell my story with words other than just dancing. And that's when I started to hear so many other women and men as well was going through similar, if not the same situation. And so I found it very vital to make different platforms within my movement. So the Rebirth of a Woman has so many different platforms, and I don't want to confuse anybody. So let's just easily go down the line very briefly.
Right.
We have monthly events that looks like empowerment circles, and it's very specific to 25 people at a time. And so it can look like women empowerment circles, men empowerment circles, empowerment for children. It just looks different every month, depending on the current event of the time period. We have a domestic violence social campaign, and that was able to go like all throughout LA, Atlanta, Miami. And so it's just many different artistic platforms that we have people coming on to.
And see, one of the things that I really appreciate, not only just the artistic approach to having and sparing this conversation, but one of the things you've been emphasizing all throughout, you telling, it's about the different audiences that have been appreciating your art, is that it's for men too. A lot of times, especially in the social media generation, we recycle topics. And one of the topics that gets recycled a lot because it happens in different situations, somebody will see a video, somebody will post something, is that men do get hit. They do get stolen on. There are instances and tendencies where it's genderless, the inability to keep your hands to yourself, right? We talk about even queer intimate violence. Those people who are in relationships that are same sex that have just picked up bad habits, they don't know a gender. They don't know a sex. They just know people who don't really have a good way of processing feelings, emotions, and frustrations and take them out on the next person, right? So I think it's really dope that, you know what I'm saying, you have been able to take your art and have it apply to more masculine beings as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey with that. It's not easy for men to speak up on their experiences with abuse and trauma. For the most part, with my experience with men trying to share their stories, it was hard because they don't know how to express it. They don't know the feedback that's going to be then given to them afterward. They might feel insecure about the response. So it just like it's been really interesting. It's been hard for them to open up, but when they do open up, it's like, wow, like sometimes they go through a bit more than women at times, depending, you know. And again, it's not a gender though, so I don't like to classify that as such.
My question, my follow up for that is like, and it's cool if you don't, but I'm just curious, do you know of any male or men identified activists or people who are in that sphere, in the artistic lane or even in the domestic violence lane, that are advocating for these types of conversations? Do you know of anybody who should be on our radar who's having these conversations that is not a woman?
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few. So let's see, the Kalief Browder Foundation. Akeem Browder is his brother. He has a men empowerment group, and he's been doing a lot of work with them. And he supports different things that men may be going through and they don't feel comfortable to speak up on. I would have to look in, but there's quite a few, but they're out here in New York that I know of.
For sure. I mean, it's always hot spots, you know, the need for us to have really kind of coalitions of individuals who are in all different types of states and cities really connecting to make sure we are forward in this issue is serious. And as real. If y'all not familiar with the story of Kalief Browder, right? It was a story. He had a backpack that he allegedly stole, never stole it, but got sent to Rikers, never saw a courtroom, never saw a trial.
For 3 months well, it was actually longer than 3 months.
It was longer than 3 months.
Like 3 years. Like,
yeah,
they had him like in jail. You feel me?
Yeah, in jail. I know county, like up at Rikers, like with no mobility, no forward motion in his case, and eventually he took his life.
Yeah, he got out now. A lot of people, you know, once his story started circulating, they got him out. But the trauma, the PTSD associated with the circumstances, I mean, what really got him, brought him into the light, and we're gonna give Mercy opportunity to come back. We know how StreamYard get funny. People start, you know, people drop off and don't know how.
3 times last week. Lord forbid it happened this week. I'm gonna knock on some wood real quick.
Yeah, but he got out. But the trauma of his experiences led him to taking his own life. You feel me? I mean, how his story came to light was actually there was surveillance footage of like the correctional officers allowing other inmates to just beat the shit out of him, like jump him, like on some gladiator shit.
Mercy.
You know what I mean? And so like that's how, you know, his story really started to get a lot of traction. But just that's just proof on how going through those experiences, once you're no longer in that environment, that stays with you. That trauma stays with you. And he ended up taking his own life. So rest in peace to that brother. And everybody carrying on his name. We appreciate y'all to make sure that, you know, Black people don't have to keep going through shit like that. So
right on. Some facts about the whole case is coming out in the comments, and was he a minor? I don't think he was a minor. I think maybe he was like 17. He wasn't very old at all. This is a case of somebody who was an upper adolescent, somebody very much young, but might have been, maybe so, Nico. I'm not overwhelmingly accurate on that, but definitely check out Kalief Browder, and like his brother's name is what?
Akeem Browder.
Akeem Browder, who is, you know, really just spurring conversations about men and the vulnerabilities they're forced to have to deal with. Now, one of the things I meant to do at the top of this conversation was provide a more intentional trigger warning. I did not do that, and I apologize, because we don't know who has experiences with domestic violence, who is living through it and experiencing it right now, might be listening to us with headphones in or something like that. So definitely sensitive to that. I don't think the conversation will become overly graphic, but if it does in nature, definitely, you know, dip out. And we'll try to, you know, make sure we frame that before we say whatever we might say. But definitely want to be mindful of people who have any types of proximity to domestic violence. That could be, you know, children who have been in domestically violent situations, spouses, all of that. Want to be sensitive and respectful to those things. one of the things that really, Mercy, had me interested in talking to you is, one of our favorite words of the day, flavors of the day, if you will, of our times, is normalization, right? Normalization. And I mean, it's an academic term, and it speaks to the way things start to be solidified, calcified. That's one of my other academic terms, right? Really ingrained deeply in what we do, how we think, and how we move. And so when I think about domestic violence and I think about the culture, you know what I'm saying? The culture meaning Black folks, brown folks, you know what I'm saying? Us, people who have similar experiences. I feel like just like everywhere else, it becomes a backdrop. But also, too, I just think it's normalized in weird ways in our cultures that we don't think about. I'll give you a couple of examples. Most recently, Fabulous. Right, we know probably a year or 2 or 3 years ago, maybe knocked out Emily B's teeth. Was a very unfortunate situation. Was highly detailed and talked about across social media. So you got the embarrassment of experiencing that. And then he was threatening her family, talking about I'm gonna kill you, this, that, and the other. A lot of hectic things. But then we saw a post at the top of the year for 2021 that a lot of people called out, where Fabulous is really praising her for her loyalty. Talking about how she stuck around and stayed around, the real ones, and this other. It's a lot of men in the comments. Loyalty, recognize loyalty. You know what it is, whatever. But this is a hugely celebratory post of her sticking around and being around through everything. Then we have more classic examples, right? Baby Boy, right? Think about it. We laugh about Jody, oh Jody, and we know all the lines and we know all the words, but we never really. I feel like as a, and that was a not coming of age movie, but that's my adolescence too. I don't really feel like we ever had just like Jody was an abuser, and it's a lot of Jodys. You know what I'm saying? I never really felt like we had that moment. We talked about it a lot, but it was about everything but that. What's love got to do with it? I vividly remember being in middle school and high school, quoting that movie and acting out stuff, and anytime somebody gets some cake,
eat the cake.
And then the last example that I come to is, the casual nature, by the way, we talk about it. T-Pain a couple years ago, actually, I think it was 2018, had made a whole post celebrating his wife. It was like, I love you, you amazing, sun, the moon, the stars, this, that, and the other. And then randomly, toward the bottom of the post, he was like, and if you ever leave me, I'll kill you with the deadliest weapon I could possibly find. And make you wipe you. It was like so bizarre. It was bizarre, and I was like, "Mr. Buy you a drink."
Like Watto. Well, I mean, and as somebody who makes like offhanded humor, I mean, I do think it's certain things that I mean, like let me not sit here and not act like when it comes to like being a man and that that type of culture, I haven't engaged in it, right? Actually, it's funny that y'all bring it up because my wife is talking about, how people go through people's tweets nowadays, and way back, I made a joke. I'm not gonna repeat it, but I made a joke, like kind of alluding to not showing bruises. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't funny at all, but like a nigga saying stupid shit. And it getting older and then realizing the severity of it, realize, like you said, the way this shit is normalized is one of them things where you look back and it's like, nah, that was stupid. Like there's no really, you know what I'm saying? Somebody my age shouldn't be making jokes like that. You know what I mean? Like back when I was I'd say even in my 20s, I shouldn't have been making jokes like that. But somebody at my age should know better. You know what I mean? So somebody T-Pain age should know better. Like it's a question of, being responsible. But what happens is people don't pay attention to how every day people lose their lives because of shit like this. And because it's okay, we know it happens, but it's one of them societal sweep under the rug joints that it's like it gets romanticized. Like Baby Boy romanticized that shit. Like that, and that was what was like really weird and awkward about that scene, because it was like they had sex afterwards.
Absolutely.
It's like, really? like that's how that type of relationship like transpired. But it's like, come on, bro, like that like seeing that back then was still something that those two things just don't seem like they go together, and we see that kind of continuing in the type of jokes that T-Pain make and the way people treat the issue.
So go ahead, Marcia.
I kind of want to add on to that because it made me think about even like during this time, right? It's such a detrimental time, like anywhere around the nation. And so everybody is responding. If you pay attention, when they infiltrated the Capitol on the 6th, most of Black and brown communities of people was having like a comedic relief moment, right? So I think we kind of tend to, and it's just natural. It's like, this is so crazy. Like, let's just laugh at it. And honestly, a lot of us laugh to cope. Like, I even laugh to cope, right? And then I also think it's like what you're exposed to, right? Your environment, your neighborhoods, the type of people that you go to school with, that you grow up with. Your household might be whole in its sense of raising you a certain way with a certain mentality, but your environment and your neighborhood that you're a part of is probably the lack of, so then the ignorance comes along and stuff like that. And a lot of people even then they misconstrue like meanings of words, like even like ignorance. Ignorance is just not knowing, but people really just take like, oh, you ignorant, you dumb, you stupid. And it's just like, it's not really, it's just, you just don't know,
Exactly.
So it just, I think it really like depends on knowing that you have a choice, right? At a certain age, like you guys mentioned, it's a really vital thing. You have a choice at a certain moment in life to make the right choice. But if you're not exposed to the extent of what that right choice might be, it's kind of hard to, make the right choice.
For sure. Like, okay, so when we talk about right choices and we talk about really being in a position to decide, to be informed, and to push through some of the jokey nature that we have about it, how, in your experience, just kind of being an I say activist because I know that you're out there, shoulder to shoulder with people who are experiencing these things, pushing, calling for reforms, calling for changes. We're going to talk about some of the legal sides of these things in a minute, but the advocate part is really using your art to forward these discussions as well. What are some of the strategies or techniques that you've seen to be successful that really allow people to take it a little bit more serious? Like, instead of being so flippant about the conversation about domestic violence and sexual assault.
So you mean just to have the conversation itself?
Yeah, like how do you start the conversation with people? Like, what are techniques and tactics? Because it is a heavy discussion. And so a lot of people want to evade it. A lot of people want to be like, well, I'm happy I don't do that, or I'm happy I've never experienced it. But how have you kept the conversation going? Like, what does that process look like for you?
So it's interesting, right? The Rebirth of a Woman was able to go into Rikers Island for 3 years. And with that, I was able to speak with the adolescents and the young adults. And they were going through a lot of domestic violence situations. Even some was doing time for self-defense.
In Rikers.
In Rikers Island at Rosedale. Yeah. And so it was really interesting because, they're in a certain kind of environment, right? While being in Rikers, their mind is fixated to not even want to have the conversation. They're very like they have to be tough, and if they tell their story, they get to a very emotional point for like 90% of the persons that I would have the conversation with. So what I would do is I would mix movement within it. I'll mix meditation and yoga for some, and some who are just extra like, no, like fuck all of that. It's like, okay, so I'll break it down, and I really just try to adjust because everybody is different. So that's like saying there's one way of healing. No, it's like everybody is different. So everybody has a certain way of even like receiving the type of information. And then also understand that not everybody is your audience. So don't feel bad if you can't help somebody who is going through something, or if they don't feel like having that conversation. That's okay too, because maybe just what you said alone can help them think on their own time, because sometimes people just do better by themselves.
Exactly. A lot of times it's about nuggets too, especially when it is a conversation about somebody in a situation. You know what I'm saying? Like and I mean, I've just experienced this in talking to people about a diversity of issues. Sometimes when you know a lot and somebody's in a situation that you know a lot about and that you can help pull them out of, you can't really dump the whole world on them and, talk about it. I'm gonna just leave you with a nugget, something to sit on, something to chew on, something that might, and then kind of put the invitation out there for them to come to you and you to lead them to some resources. For New York people, real quick, what do you think, drop a resource or two that you think individuals who are finding themselves in proximity to domestic violence should be tapping into in the New York area?
It's really hard. There's not enough support. There's not enough things within systems. That's the fight out here.
So let's go ahead and transition to the second part of the conversation then, which is we talked about kind of the normalization of domestic violence in our culture, in the culture. We laugh about it. We flippantly kind of deal with it. We don't center it in our discourse. I want to shout out Eve real quick. Love is Blind. If y'all younger than me, you probably ain't heard Love is Blind.
I love that song.
It's an amazing.
I don't even know you, and I
hate you. Y'all, I know that my girlfriend used to date you. Like, listen, I want y'all to go listen to Eve Love is Blind. It really puts you in the mood to go and link up with people who are fighting this fight and be like, yeah, I'm ready to burn some shit down. Can't keep their hands to themselves. Whoever can't control themselves, I'm ready to get down. Because it was such a poignant conversation. And I think about it a lot because it's the only song I can think of that took the issue of domestic violence and really stared it down and took it head on. So shout out to Eve for that. But transitioning into what you were saying about the lack of resources and the nothingness that's there, I think a focal point of this conversation was not to just be like, hey, domestic violence, here are a bunch of resources, but to talk with somebody who was out there using avenues like art to create a lane of connection and community and coalition with people because there's not resources out there, because it's not direct pipelines to help into stuff like that. So that's really what this conversation is not the pretty shiny, this is how you fix it, deal with it, here's the number you can call. Right. This is somebody out there grinding in the mix of advocacy and activism with domestic violence and sexual assault that's saying that it's not a lot in one of the biggest, the most populated city in the country. Right, which is New York. So tell us a little bit more about the normalization of domestic violence in the law and in systems and institutions, because you were talking a lot about that before we talked.
Okay. So backtracking, as I was in Rikers for 3 years with the movement, I didn't do time. I was a visitor. Let's clear that up, because sometimes when I say that, people's like, "Oh, no." No. I helped the women there, and then I went home. Even in Rikers, like I said, you see so many women, because I was working with women, so I don't know the percentage with men, but so many women doing time for self-defense with domestic violence. I even recently had to help a fellow comrade get out of jail for self-defense as well of domestic violence from a stranger who was a homeless man. And then even for myself, and I don't mind sharing, I'm a very open person. I recently had to get a restraining order this last summer. And with that, like I was sharing with you, it was really interesting because, every time I have to make a police report, because I have the order of protection, I have to make a police report when he violates it, and I get a brand new set of officers who have no idea to what's going on with my case. So the repetition of telling your case is so triggering, and you don't have the proper people there. They don't tell you anything about therapy. They just send you to a hotline or send you a long list of therapists who may or may not be available because of COVID. There's so many people who aren't taking new customers, and so you're just sitting there and I can only imagine because every time you tell it, it's trying to get somebody to buy it. Like, let me really tell. Maybe you're the person who's gonna escalate it down the path it needs to go. So I gotta make sure I unpack everything for you really, really good, because this could be my chance. Right. And then even with making the police report, right? This was my first time going through with making a report and pressing charges. And that's also something within statistics of going through abuse, that a lot of people don't pursue the charges against the perpetrator for many different reasons. And so I fell victim to that for many years because I went through domestic violence and sexual abuse for years. And then unfortunately, what happened this past summer was from someone who I never expected. So that's something that's interesting too. Like, that taught me there's always a piece of someone that you don't know. They only expose what they want to expose to you. So you can grow with this person, love this person, everything. And there's always something that you don't know about them. And I'm not saying that to be negative, but it's just to, keep in mind, because people change. People change. And so, again, even without having that support, they were more concerned with, if you ever filled out a police report, they ask all these questions, and one of them is, do they have access to weapons? They're more concerned about those questions. Just I arrested them because they have weapons type of thing, or they're ready to charge into someone's home and say, oh my God, do you have weapons?
Which is wild because these is weapons.
Like,
Some people want to get these registered. It's
Well,
people on the earth that got to go get these signed up to say I could do damage.
But look, but what's happening and what she's describing is the apparatus of policing and its focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's because in a lot of these instances, you don't like what you pointing out, Toya. You don't need I don't need a gun. I don't need, you know what I'm saying, a knife. I don't need an arsenal, you know what I mean, in order to do damage to another individual, specifically someone that I'm in close proximity with, or someone I've had a relationship with, or somebody who, you know, trusts me, those types of things, right? Like, so the idea of being focused on this question of weapons and these other issues is more so like, all right, do we just got a reason to throw a nigga in jail, like beforehand? Because in a lot of these instances, you know, on top of how it's disjointed, it's disconnected. Like even when my wife just had our baby in the hospital, I felt a certain type of way over the fact that we had 4 or 5 nurses over the course of like the 2 days that we was in there. Like there was no continuity. That's how I felt about nurses. Imagine if this is somebody who, or you are someone who is dealing with somebody who like another individual who's threatening your life, and there's no institutional relationship or understanding there. You're just another file. You
and
feel
they
me?
don't get any specific training with that. Like police unions themselves, and then like that whole nurse thing that you described, like that's very, congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But
yeah,
like that's very interesting because that goes into a whole nother conversation of how Black and brown women are, you know, affected
in the hospital, yeah,
targeted with pregnancies, as men are targeted and affected with police brutality.
When I listen to what both of y'all are saying, I think about the low-hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying? Like how the law is literally developed to get the low-hanging fruit. They don't want to get the more complicated, more difficult people that have become professionals at hiding their abusive tendencies. For example, if I want to beat the shit out of somebody, but still keep my livelihood and still, I'm going to work a little bit harder to not make it easy for you to pull up on my shit and kind of, you know, pull me out of my house and say I did something. You want somebody who's carrying guns and selling drugs and down with it and got a record. Like it's not as neat as that. And that's where it leaves people like, you know, the Mercies of the world and a whole lot of other individuals just kind of left. Because if my partner or my ex-partner, my abuser only beats the shit out of me, but they don't speed and they go to work and they do this and that, like you just telling me that's good enough. And what?
And that's like, you know, you got to ask the question, do these police apparatuses, these institutions, are they there to protect? Or are they just there to lock niggas up?
And protect. We know that, but
yeah, but that's the problem, right? Like you have we have in society what's called vulnerable populations. Vulnerable populations. These are groups of people who are susceptible to other groups that may have more physical strength, right? More access to resources, right? Like where you have an advantage to where you can take advantage of somebody, right? And when it comes to the question of domestic violence, we're dealing with a population of vulnerable people who look to like the protect and order motherfuckers, the protect and serve motherfuckers, and be like, hey, y'all said call the police. I'm calling the police. And it seemed to be more, like I'm getting more flack from the people that's supposed to help me, you know what I mean, than anything else. So like that undermines that level of trust that people have in institutions. I mean, as Black people, we already know, like, fuck, I mean, but when you already put in a position to where I don't have any other choice, you know what I mean? And that's what you got to deal with. It is a very, I mean, I can only imagine how helpless somebody will feel in those circumstances.
That's how I felt this summer when that whole incident happened. I literally, like, because it happened in my courtyard, and then my security guards were there, and I was like going off on them, like, you're not doing nothing. They was like, you want me to call the cops? And I was like, no, because I'm a frontline protester. Like, I can't call the cops. And then so that
they know you.
happened. But
It's like,
that
oh yeah, now you want to use us. You was just out there saying fuck the police, but now you want to call us. Okay. All right, I see how it is.
But okay, so Mercy, the courtyard situation, you can't call the police because you're a front line protester.
She in the trenches.
The security on site at the place that you stay at is not helpful at all. So then how, I don't want to be nosy, but like how
we are responsible for only calling the police, and that's the bullshit that they say. But I've had security training before. I'm like, what security training you had, sir? Like him and I was going at it. But I'm sorry, the question.
Well, no, I'm just because how have you been navigating it outside of that? Like I know, you're just like the frustrations of having to negotiate, because you said the person who is your abuser is not very far in proximity from you at all. Right. So I know that it's probably changed your day-to-day routines, a lot of how you navigating things. I guess I don't really have a question. I'm astonished. We've just been really peeling back the layers of how you in the face. And this is one last thing I want to get to, but you in the face of doing all these different actions have had to deal with some things. One thing I want to ask about is, since you were talking about being a frontline protester, is when we talked before, you talked about trying to ease conversations about domestic violence into maybe what seemed like separate conversations about Black lives and about how we deal with them and deal with issues. And sometimes you kind of dealt with a little bit of static there. Can you describe or explain what that means? It looks like.
So you're asking, how did I bring in the conversation of domestic violence smoothly in the space?
Well, no, I felt like we was talking about, activism, and you participate in different things. And then you trying to be like, but also domestic violence. And people be like, man, get that shit out of here. We ain't time to talk about that. Like, talk about that phenomenon. Because I think that's the issue, is that a lot of times we can walk and chew gum at the same time. That we are complex individuals who can handle larger conversations, but people want to be so narrow about it. So tell me about that.
So I'm going to dive into a little bit of a scenario of what happened last year, that whole time frame of us protesting over the summer. So there were some people who were accusing others of being abusers, and they was using that word very lightly, and forming different groups to support victims of abuse. And so it made it hard. And I'm only using this specifically because, one, I don't care. I'm very blunt. And then two, because I just think that it's a perfect example of how it shows like how harmful it is to us as people and how we're supposed to stay together, and it actually drives us apart. So they formed a whole group to then, put me into like groups of lies and saying like, oh, she did this, she did that. And I'm just like, and this was a part of the person that I had to get the restraining order from. He did some COINTELPRO shit to kind of like split us up, and it worked. Unfortunately, if you pay attention, if things like that still work to easily split people up, that's not okay either.
Exactly.
Like, as we pay attention to history, we have to pay attention to its effects and how it's still prevalent today and it's still working. That's weird, right? It shouldn't be working. There is a gap with that. And so that worked, the COINTELPRO shit, and then we stopped being together in the group. And then it was just like easily like just started labeling everyone like that's an abuser and that's an abuser and they abuse this. And it's just like you're making it hard for real people who are going through things now, because now you're labeling everyone and no one knows who to believe who. And that's just causing more destruction. So what are we really doing here? Are we really advocating for people, or are we really just trying to stir up some issues? And so I pay attention to that and how easily influenced some of us are at times to other persons, because we like want to stick together so much. That was the whole goal while we were out there, and it easily just drifted apart. And I'm just like, wow, like today, protesters out there today in out here in New York City is not the same group of protesters that it was last year in the summertime. Like everyone literally shifted positions, or some just left and they're just tired of the protesting. They use the platform for the wrong things, I don't want to get too deep into that, and then because it might be some offensive to certain groups of people. So I'm careful of that, and I respect all this.
Yeah, we don't be worried about offending nobody, but but you know what I'm saying, I definitely appreciate your political correctness. But what's interesting about what you're saying though is it speaks to how, especially in the era of Me Too, there is an attempt to delegitimize the whole believe the victim movement, You know what I mean? Like people are actively like, but see, what about this? You know how people look for like this, they make up a whole scenario. I forget what fallacy that is, but where they make up an entire scenario just to prove a situation wrong. Well, like in this situation, she lied. So that means that when they make these claims, they are lying, right? No,
Right.
like, okay, there are instances, and especially as black men, we know. You feel me?
For sure, yeah.
Like, niggas are the last people that you need to tell. People lie about these types of accusations, but I think the part that's missed on that is it's more shit that goes unreported.
Then it is
That's
lying about it.
right. You know what I'm saying? And when you have like certain groups, and we'll stick to the political correctness of who these groups are that we talking about. You know what I mean? When they weaponize the language of calling out abusers for like little minor, you know what I'm saying, like social shit to build that political capital, it desensitizes the entire conversation. Because now you got people that are the type to be like, nah, we believe the victim. What the fuck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And that creates those schisms because it's like I don't trust you. I don't like how you weaponize language, like the boy who called or the boy who cried wolf type shit. Like it's just like it's abuser. Okay, like how were they an abuser? Oh, well, they just didn't respect. See,
like you very flippantly thrown around this term abuser, but I mean it's a sticky situation, and it's always sticky because you don't want to be, nobody wants to be the judge, the jury, the executioner, if you will. And then people have this idea that having conversations about things like domestic violence and like sexual assault will derail the mission, right? And so it's hard work, right? I think one of the death kneels of a lot of movements have been but what about the abusers or whatever, because it has forced that movement to stop and make some decisions and be at a crossroads about how serious you're going to take people who very likely could have been victimized and how much of the original movement you want to, fracture and leave behind. We talk about the Black Panthers all the time, and then people say, but don't forget, there were some abusers, there were some people who did some, and those things are very true. But to use that as a cornerstone or a centerpiece or the epicenter of completely devaluing all the work that the Panthers did is also not the goal, also not the purpose. Also, so it's a tight. I say all this to say it's a tight line, right? It's definitely very much a tight line. A Thorough Beauty said, using less than 1% of the sexual assault reports to dispute all as being true. We also need to stop looking to the policing system as a form of punishment. And so that's definitely.
Can I say something about that? That's actually interesting. I think I have this thought that we all have the ability and the capability of like literally becoming an abuser at one point in time. Like we all, and that's hard to swallow for some. And it's not to say you're an abuser. It's just saying we have the characteristics, and so I think that's important because a lot of times when I was in Rikers, I started to think, well, what system is created to help the abusers?
Mm-hmm.
They're people.
Right.
It's hard to say that because I hate all of my abusers, but they're still people. At some point in time, I loved them, I cared about them, or I still love and care, like whatever, right? And they're people. If I myself was an abuser, I would love to get some help.
And what's the old cliche? Hurt people. And so there is some layers, some stuff to unpack, some things to consider. It's not to excuse, it's not to pacify, but it's definitely something that works to rehabilitate. Like you said, these systems that we have though are supposed to work to do exactly those things. And they fail a lot of times because we don't leave space outside of punishment for growth, for development, for change. And I think we leave change off the table for a lot of people. I know for a fact, and this is, I think, some relationship maturation type shit, but you do start to figure out what abuse, I don't want to air quote it, abusive things you tend to do that might not necessarily be putting your hands on somebody. I've had to work through, and I wish I really had help, working through my tendencies to be what I call I'm a silent terrorist. I will kill you with silence. And what'll throw you off about it is that I am I've mastered passive aggression, right? So I'll talk to you about this. What are we having? What are we eating? What are we doing? Where are we going? Okay, fine. And I don't have to do any of but the middle parts. gone. Dominique is testifying too hard. But it's because it is a place that I go to because it's in response to me feeling shut out or neglected or minimized or like something is not being, you know, so it's shit that I needed to figure out, but that I had to stop doing to other people because it's abusive. Like it's emotionally abusive for me to just be like.
I think this is important. Can you read this one?
Oh yeah, you read it. It's you.
Which is it? Yeah, Snowden. Yeah. He said, I am interested to know your thoughts on possibly decriminalizing domestic violence and finding other ways of keeping men accountable, protect women, saving families, and having violence prevention.
So that's interesting because I think that falls into really knowing yourself, really unpacking different traumas and different feelings that you might be going through, and that's hard because you can't really help people who don't want help or who don't know that they need help. And that goes for everyone, not just abusers, just people in general. That's kind of hard. It makes me think about how they, for rapists, they created a sex human doll, like a child sex human doll to kind of help them with not raping anymore, which to me makes no damn sense.
Right, that's practice.
I mean, but the same
you practice it. Like that's
the same though of like those methadone centers or safe, you know, drug use centers that allow for people to go and utilize drugs in a more safe, controlled environment that allows for them to control those.
I believe there's certain things you just can't do that with.
right, and that's and I understand the logic that you that with the safe drug.
Not my logic.
No. Of like safe places, right? Like of like, okay, people with issues, there are ways to let them work out those issues and places where they can work it out without having, like, 'cause, you know, they say cold turkey is not healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like it fails, that type of shit. So when it comes to like drug usage and that type of shit, usually something that's self-harming, right? But the problem with, you know, dolls or any other type of weird shit like that is it, like I said, it's practice. Like you can't, like, you learn, you practice in carrying it out on another human being, right? Like that victimless non-violent crimes, that the focus on decriminalizing that shit is important because, again, like it's not about somebody actually impacting somebody else. It's about what they doing to themselves. But when you have motherfuckers who what's wrong with them puts people in danger, the question of decriminalizing that is problematic for me because that's some criminal shit.
Linda said it's not really corrective, it's more enabling, right? Those types of behaviors that really set people up to be more boastful and more proactive in the things that they should probably limit in a little bit more.
Right.
What were you about to say, Mercy? My bad. Or either one of you.
I wanted to ask Mercy though, not to move off of that criminalization question. Well, actually, I guess so, yeah, because I wanted to ask this. When we talk about the disenchantment, right? Like when you because on the question of criminalization, it's like some shit like is criminal, like outside of the way that we've been racialized to understand policing and criminalization. There are certain acts. Like our problem with the policing apparatus that we deal with is that it's the people that are criminalized, not the acts themselves. So, you know, you got people who do criminal shit but don't get criminal treatment for it, and people who just be regular get treated like criminals. But outside of that framing, it's certain shit that people do in general, regardless of your race, that is criminal, and there should be some type of incentive against it, right? And that criminalization does that. But when you have the apparatus that's so ineffective in terms of helping with that, as somebody who's had to deal with that ineffectiveness, that disjointedness, that the cold nature of dealing with police and domestic violence issues, what is it that you do to not allow your, because like you've taken it to the next level, like you're an advocate, you're an activist, like you out there speaking on it. So what is it that you do for yourself that allows you to move past the disenchanted nature or vibe that you get and actually be like, I'm gonna do more regardless of this institutional response? Like what pushes you further when you dealing with resistance from both the abuser and the law? Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Because it's deep. We just do it. It's like a lot of shit we just do. You know what I mean? But it's something there. Like what drives you?
I think in the midst of, so I'm on a different level than I was when I started out. When I started out, I was always the type of person to like take in energy and take in like whatever feeling is within the atmosphere. So when dealing with people who are dealing with abuse and trauma, it's really hard because I honestly find myself getting frustrated a lot when I try to help, and I know that they're probably not going toward the right path, and I think I only get frustrated because I don't want them to like get hurt more. And honestly, like God is what's getting me through. Like here, bro.
Hey,
like,
speak to it. Yeah, it's
honestly that's
about the name Jesus.
That's like that's the thing. Like I respect what anyone believes in, but I'm a firm believer in God, and I like always ask like, hey, can I send you a prayer, like something? Because if I can't, I have to accept that I can't always be there for people, because sometimes it's too much, you know, and you have to like detach yourself. And I'm honestly still working on that today, because I'm always like trying to like, oh my God, something's about to happen, and it's just like, Mercy, you need to calm down, like you gotta chill, because you'll drive yourself literally crazy. You know what can be the outcome of it. Just God and like honestly meditating and really again knowing yourself. When you know yourself, when you really ground yourself, you feel me? Like no one can disturb your peace. No one can switch your moods easily. Like, you're still bodily flesh. You're still human. So it can be something to throw you off. That's fine. But it should be on a constant basis that something is throwing you off. So if you're dealing with trauma experience, you have to know how to navigate through that and really pivot, because if not, you can get lost in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the work that we kind of do, get that vibe. Like me being in politics, studying politics, like dealing with Trump for the last 4 years. You know what I mean? Like it created that. I mean, not to the level of having to deal with an abuser, but just understanding that, like, damn, like this is what the fuck I pay attention to. Like you got people who just kind of go they whole lives blissfully ignorant of what's going on around them. And then it's like people like us who look at what's happening in society, look at the shit that happened to us, and then be like, I mean, we shouldn't. I don't want this to happen to nobody else. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times, like a lot of shit that I do and what I pay attention to is so that a motherfucker can just call me and like, shit. If you need that resource, like that's I'm here to be the resource for everybody else. And I always got respect for people that's willing to put that, put on that cape. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that shit is tough. It's hard. Like it's like mentally. I mean, it's certain shit you just can't enjoy. It's certain things that people be like, damn, do you ever turn it off? And it's like, nah, because this shit is a part of me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's a part of me. And I got mad respect for that. The next thing that I wanted to, unless you had something, go ahead, you can chime in real quick, Toya.
Well, no, I was actually gonna start to close it. Did you have another question?
Yeah, the second thing I wanted to ask is in terms of people that's wanting to kind of follow in your footsteps and attach themselves to like this type of cause, like being like, look, I mean, whether there's somebody who was in a situation and they seen somebody in that situation, and they're hearing the stories and they're also disenchanted about what's going on. What advice do you give those type of people to like be like, all right, like look, like you can push through this? You know what I mean? Like this, there is something to do. You feel me? Like how do you speak to other people about them being disenchanted when they gotta act, when it's something that they have to do?
So one thing that I like to start with is showing and telling people that you're not by yourself. You're not alone. Like literally, oftentimes when going through abuse and trauma, you feel like you're the only one singled out in that moment going through it for some strange reason, and that's not the case. It's like, unfortunately, there's a lot others who are actually going through it at the same time. It's so hard because times are changing now. So And then the age ranges that I used to work with and the age ranges that I'm now working with, is like everything is so different. But really, really taking time to heal. Don't skip your healing. Please don't cheat yourself. That is the biggest thing. The moment that you skip your healing, it's like you're going to just find your ways into other relationships and situationships that's not going to be healthy for you, and it's just going to take you down a worse path. Be patient with your healing. It's okay to not be okay at times, but try not to get stuck in that, because then that forms depression. And it's okay to get help if you seek therapy, even if, you know, people around you don't, and if you have to keep it silent. Whatever you have to do to make sure that you're okay, you're the top priority. And please understand and know when you're going through something that's not healthy for your mental state, your mind, body, soul, and spirit. If it's not healthy for you, your body will know and it will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that you know yourself enough, you'll know, like, oh, this is not right. And you'll be able to pivot away from the danger or from the toxicity that's trying to enter your life. It'll be easier for you to then manage to avoid it before it comes in and like, affects you, you know? And it's definitely not easy. And it's like, I also want to say this because I feel like there's somebody who may be going through this watching. It's okay if you went through it more than once, because I'm an advocate and I went through it more than once. And I advocate for this. And I'm the one that gets it firsthand. I always tell myself, like, I get it firsthand at the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I went through it more than once. So it's okay that, you know, like, don't blame yourself because it's not your fault. Yes, we have poor choices. Yes, we could have thought differently, but that's victimization thinking. That's victimization conversation. Then trying to like block your ways within healing. We don't have time for anything to try to block your way when you're trying to really get better and heal. You know, so please take your healing seriously, and please just be patient with it and get to know God. I don't like to be religious, but get to know God, trust in God, man. Like, a prayer always works. You feel me? Like, you don't even have to get too deep and be religious. I'm not talking about religion at all. Just get to know the God within you, you know?
And y'all know the official gospel song for the Chop Up is "He's Intentional."
I love that song.
Never failing.
I love it.
But
so
yeah, that's yeah. I tell you know, every opportunity I get to sing that song, I sing it.
Absolutely. Him and Deacon George, they always come on trying to sing something. My biggest thing that I want to say before I start to close it out is about the last bit. You know, Mercy talked about in terms of healing, healing and making sure you're good, right? These are terms and phrases that we just kind of throw around that can be very flippant, right? What is healing? What is you being good? What is you being okay? And even though my experience is not necessarily in the context of domestic violence, I want to impress on you that your healing ain't got to look like nobody else's. Your conclusions, how you work through stuff, don't need to look like nobody else's. People, I used to really feel bad about myself because I'm like, I haven't cried yet. I haven't. And it's not my nature. It's not my tendency. And so I was waiting for this really episodic movie, you know, as I'm working through my traumas, my issues or whatever. I'm waiting for the breakdown in the rain. It doesn't happen like that for everybody. So be okay. And if it does happen like that for you, cool. If you got to purge and cry and hurt and feel, I always say you can go, but you can't stay. This life is going to send you some places. You're going to want to go and get away for some things in this life. You can go, but my only ask of you is that you not stay. That you come on back and join us, tap back in after a little while, after you taking some time to yourself, because we still got a whole lot of life to live. So go, but don't stay. And don't expect your healing and the things that you go through and how you come to terms with that look like nobody else's. You don't know what it's supposed to look like. The person next to you ain't going to. So if you say, am I healed? And they don't know. Yep. So, you know, don't go into it trying to say this is what this is supposed to look like. It's going to look different from everybody. You're going to hurt yourself worse than you are now if you approach getting out of this situation trying to compare and contrast what that path or what that journey looks like, because it's just not going to be the same. No, Lions Time, baby. We're not going to answer your question. You being ridiculous. You can leave now if you like, but we've been doing a great job at ignoring you. We're going to keep doing that starting now. If you're just joining us, though, we're actually moving toward the end of this conversation. We've been talking to Mercy Baez, representing Rebirth of a Woman LLC, an amazing artist, an amazing talent, a gifted, just vibe, an advocate, an artist. Mercy, on the way out, spend some time telling people where to find you, how to get a hold of what you're doing, how to link up. Because one of my favorite things you said was just about connecting with other people. You're not by yourself. And so, Mercy, tell people how they can start to build some network and some community around these things.
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. My Instagram is Lord of Mercy, LORDDA_Mercy, MERCY. My Facebook is Mercy
Put that
Baez.
up real quick, Damo.
Mercy with 2 Y's and then Baez, BAEZ on Facebook. On my Instagram, the link in my bio, you'll see the movement, The Rebirth of a Woman. And you can click on that and it'll direct you to the Instagram page.
What was the Instagram called one more time, just so I can put it up on the screen for the folks?
LORDDA_Mercy, MERCY.
And that's at Instagram.
Yes, that's on Instagram. And you guys can just send me a DM. My email address is there, and the movements page is in my bio as well, so that you can take a look and see everything there.
Unless you in her DMs on some messy shit, lions.
Oh no, yeah, I don't we're not taking them type of DM.
Yeah.
Hey,
Shout out to Television Debate League. You know what I'm saying? About YouTube niggas, like niggas don't know how to act.
On the kudo, make sure y'all connect with Mercy. I know there's a lot of, the arts in general, right? A couple things. One, coronavirus has probably exacerbated or made worse the issues with domestic violence. So there's a lot of people trapped inside, not doing the things that they used to do, being able to get away in the ways that they used to be able to survive. The second thing I want to point out is the fact that Mercy does a lot of artistic things, and we know artists have uniquely been affected by the demi, and so they haven't been able to do things like share their art. But when outside officially, because niggas is out there unofficially,
and artists are sensitive about their shit too. So
when it officially opens, the artist who could be sensitive about her shit is going to deal with those sensitivities and be ready to show y'all more stuff. So you don't want to miss it, right? You don't want to be out of the loop when Mercy starts to do a whole lot more of the outgoing stuff that we've been talking about, a lot of the stuff I've seen on the page. So don't miss it. Right. Make sure y'all follow Lord of Mercy on Instagram, LORDDA_Mercy on IG. And then that'll start to give you some breadcrumbs to everything else you need to follow and get connected to, so that you can really know what's up. We've been vibing, and I think this has been a pretty decent conversation in terms of just really putting a spotlight on what I said, something that's been normalized in the culture, normalized in the law, and that is domestic violence. We've been talking to Mercy Baez, having a great conversation about all of this, and I really appreciate everybody in the comments that tagged in. Candace, Ethereal Beauty, I seen you. Malik holding it down. Hope has been in the mix.
Sherry, Deja.
Listen, Setify. I think that's how I say it. Setify.
It's a motherfucker pronouncing some of these names on the internet, but y'all don't care about people being able to pronounce people's shit. But Setify, if that's how it's pronounced, thank you for joining me.
I love it. Just to be clear, y'all, my mama did not name me Toyuh. I know people that confuses people like it's Toya. It's phonetic, y'all. Just like graduation. You know how they had you write your name out phonetically so they wouldn't mess it up, right? Toya G. My name is Toya. Last name is just the letter G if you want to shorten it up. So don't be confused. But I love watching the names that people come up with to identify themselves online, because it really speaks a lot to their little personality, to who they are, how they move, how they see
Candace Bizzle. Shout out.
We love y'all. It's been amazing. It's been a good night. Y'all make sure y'all check the run back of this if you want to listen to it on Spotify, on the Chop Up Show. I'm sorry, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on YouTube, on Facebook. Well, not on Facebook. We don't know.
Facebook, yeah.
We don't know.
All they played us today. I don't know what Facebook was on today, but they played us. But make sure, if y'all haven't already, subscribe to the Chop Up Show on YouTube. Subscribe to the Consciously on YouTube, even though that nigga is asleep right now, getting his rest. Shout out to the boy.
Y'all, do me a favor. Y'all go jump in the last, unless it's a real serious post, but if it's just like a funny post of George's, go put a bunch of Z's in his comments. Just sleepy ass nigga. Go fill his comments up with Z. Go do it. The Consciously, go to just a couple different pictures. Just go put some Z's on that nigga.
It don't matter if you do it on TikTok, Instagram, wherever. If you follow Consciously, just put some Z's on his shit. You know what I'm saying? Put some Z's. Let us know. We know you sleep. Shit. But it's been real. Glad that y'all was able to be a part of this, you know what I'm saying, wonderful conversation, because it's always, like you said, we want to shape conversations. We don't want to just be reactionary. And I want to thank the sister for giving us this, insight.
Yeah.
These are more conversations that need to be had. So been a great show. Mercy, thank you again. And
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, such a pleasure. Thank y'all all for tuning in and for enjoying the conversation with us.
Yes, man. We know it's late over there, so we're gonna go ahead and get her out of here so she can go to sleep. She on the East Coast. It's still early for us here on the West Coast, and we out, y'all. Y'all be easy. Y'all know how we gotta leave just the same way we came in. Let's get it.
Me, my guys, we really live. Lord, forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside. And that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride. Lit off Henny when I drive.